My naughty bits are absolutely nothing compared with the audacity of my first guest. He was once the enfant terrible of the BBC. Well, he's no longer an enfant, but there's also those who say he's still pretty terrible. The man who put the K into comedy. Kenny Everett. I never saw you in anything like that before in my whole life. I've seen you in many strange causes, but never in your brown velvet number.
I got married in this suit.
And you still love it?
She's still in there somewhere. Last time I wore this suit was when I went to a charity gig to meet Princess Anne.
Oh.
And I was handing out prizes to these people for drama award, etc. And Princess Anne was sat way over there, well out of range of me, at this desk, ready to prepare the big prize for whoever won Comedy of the Century award. And I looked at her, and she smiled, and I thought, oh, she obviously wants to shake hands. So I walked all the way over where she was, over this nylon carpet. And when I got to her, there was a 10,000-volt shock from me to her.
Oh, well, she's very good-natured. I came here in a cab yesterday, and the driver said the same thing as the driver who brought me in the cab today. He said, Kenny Everett, oh, he said, I love him, and he got sacked from the BBC. That's the one thing everyone knows about you, but they all have different theories as to why you got the push all those years ago. Well,
it wasn't for the reasons they said, because me and the Director General are just friends. It was the reason was it was just after the Pirates, and the Pirates was fun happening. We were all at sea catching lobsters and playing records, having a jolly time in the sunshine.
On Radio London, as it was, afloat.
Yes, it's watery wireless. And when we came on to Radio 1, it was all full of people saying, no, no, you can't do that, you can't say hip man, popping all these things. So we thought, hey, this is dull. And it was. And papers kept coming up to me and saying, what do you think of Radio 1? And I said, it's awful, it's really stultified and digital. And they would print it. Kenny Everett in Radio 1 stinks horror. So the BBC dragged me into the office and said, don't do it again, Ken. If you do, I mean, we'll have to let you go. Sign this piece of paper saying you won't say anything to the press or out. So I signed it, because there wasn't any other radio stations in those days. And the next day, the Daily Mirror said, what do you think of Radio 1, Ken? And I said, I can't say anything. I can't tell you how awful it is, because I've signed this piece of paper saying
That series, and ever since, there are various moments that everybody treasures, and you get tremendous feedback from the public on it, lots of letters. I think the awful, the diabolical records, the all-time flops, the great ones that should never have been recorded.
Fab. I heard one called, this is a real record, ladies and gentlephones, it's called, I'd rather have a bottle in front of me than a frontal lobotomy.
Very clever, actually.
This is a record in stereo that was actually made and distributed and published and things by a gentleman called Steve Bent. And it's called I'm Going to Spain. And here's a bit of it. I'm going to Spain. Cousin Norman had a real fine time last year. I hear it doesn't rain, and I hope that I can quickly learn the language. My mother cried on Friday night, told me to take good care. She wrapped me up some sandwiches, and I hate them. Yes, I hate the cheese and pickle, and I'm going to Spain.
Incredible. The appalling commercials, too, done on the radio show. You did one from New Zealand, Australia.
There's one called the Taubman's paint ad.
That's Antipodean, isn't it?
Wonderful. Taubman's is a big paint like Dulux in Australia. Yeah. And there's this guy who does it to the tune of My Way. I've stripped, I've sanded back, and may I say I've done some filling. Incredible. And there's another one from America called...
Filling.
Filling. The Heart's 2-in-1 flea collar kit. And they also do roundworm tablets. You know what roundworms are? They come out and go back in again. And it goes, your dog or cat can't let you know how roundworm really hurts him so.
Your dog or cat's going to hear that and spend the evening with his paw down his throat. Sick. I mean, that is so sick. And the radio opportunities you had for sending that up created, I suppose, some of the beginnings of the characters that you brought to TV.
Well, we thought, how are we going to fill a half hour? So we had to think up characters, and some of them, I mean, Sid Snot and all that lot. We thought, there's a lot of gags about French, you know, the chicks and things. In fact, where's the, where is it? Oh, is it over here? Thank you.
One of those exciting moments. Almost live TV. Oh, there she is. Cupid. Good Cupid. She's as famous as Miss Piggy.
Actually, under the, I mean, look, we had to build them into the dress. Aren't they fabulous?
Actually turning me on.
The first time I used this frock, it's desperately uncomfortable and very hot, and it rubs up against your nipples. The first time I used it, after I'd done the gags, because you're about three... Would you get off? I'm not in there. I threw it off. I took it off. I thought, phew, hot city. And I threw the dress on the floor. And 5 minutes later, I looked at it, and the tits were still going... Fab.
But do you like wearing costume?
Well, you can't go on and do characters doing jokes about all that stuff without wearing that. I mean, I don't really like wearing women's clothes, you know, it's desperately uncomfortable, especially those fishnet tights.
I had to wear fishnet tights once. They're awful, because they make a kind of waffle out of your bottom if you pull them up.
Plus, if you're wearing high heels as well, ladies and gentlemen, you know, it makes a grid on the bottom of your foot, and they're just so... Fishnet tights, they're so uncomfortable.
The trouble you go to. Did you ever create a character that didn't get to the screen? Because I heard there were...
Gin. Looks exactly like water.
Would that it were. I'll test it and find out. Did you ever have to throw out any sketches or characters because they just weren't up to standard?
Well, mostly on the radio, because radio's more stiff than television. You get away with things on television. You can't on radio.
Isn't that extraordinary?
Like, I did a gag once. It was a teeny weeny gag, and the BBC went, ah! It was, have I busted the transmitter? The BBC went, eek, and it was only a teeny one. It's Captain Kremen went into the bridge and said to Carla, gee, is that Hortense over there? I know, she looks perfectly relaxed to me.
The gadgets, you have specialised on TV in programmes like Blankety Blanks. Why have you got this big red fruit?
Well, you've got to keep very quiet for this, because if you make a sound, it goes berserk. Let me turn it on. They put the batteries up the bum.
It doesn't have a bum. It's in the core. Yeah.
Microphone. Here you go. Hello? Is there anybody there? And if you talk really loud, well, hello in there!
I think the applause is doing that. I don't think we need the rest of the show. This is going to keep us all amused. It's splendid tricks.
It's nice to have had you on my show, Bob.
I'd just like to thank you for this wonderful award. Thank you very much. I shall wear it always.
No one could look lovely. Kenny Everett, ladies and gentlemen. Kenny Everett. Kenny Everett, unpredictable mischief.